Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Oxford International Short Film Festival. I'm Stephanie, I'm your host today, and we are actually doing the last block of the online festival, which is isolation. This block is all about isolation, covering the recent pandemic and also the feeling of being isolated. Trigger warning that in this block there are covering topics such as abuse and depression. The format of this block is that it will start playing all the films in one go. There are about 8 films and they'll play for approximately 69 minutes. Once all the films have played, we will be doing a Q&A with some of the filmmakers, so make sure that you join us for that. And we hope to wrap things up about 10:30. We do encourage commenting in the Facebook live stream and the YouTube live stream. So if you have any questions for the filmmakers, please leave them down there and below, and we'll make sure to try and read them and ask the filmmakers. Well, without further ado, here is the isolation block. Enjoy.
Fuck it. Computer, what time does the sun set today?
The sun is scheduled to set at 8:30 p.m. It will be a warm evening.
Okay, but like, what time does it get dark? Like, for real?
The sun is scheduled to set at 8:30 p.m. It will start to get dark then.
Okay, thank you for your helpful non-helpfulness.
Miałem kiedyś sen. Śniło mi się, że byłem ostatnim żyjącym człowiekiem na ziemi. Błądziłem po opustoszałych drogach, samotnych skrzyżowaniach i najgłębszych zakątkach swojego umysłu. Szukałem czegoś. Pamiętam, że byłem w to bardzo zaangażowany. Całymi dniami się rozglądałem, szukałem, ale nie mogłem tego znaleźć. W końcu uznałem, że poczekam. Tak, usiadłem i czekałem, aż to się znajdzie. Trudno w to uwierzyć, że świat może się tak zmienić w ciągu kilku tygodni. Obrót o 180 stopni. Codzienność się zatrzymała. Jedyne co pozostało w normie to czas. Ta najważniejsza cecha całego wszechświata robi to, co zawsze i teraz gra największą rolę. Jednak teraz, kontynuując to, co robi, czas został sam. Ja też. Pamiętam ostatni dzień w szkole. Ogłoszono ogólnokrajową kwarantannę i odwołano zajęcia szkolne na 2 tygodnie. Było to dla nas coś nowego. Myśleliśmy, że to takie wiosenne ferie, podczas których będziemy się spotykać i odpoczniemy. Ale rzeczywistość okazała się zupełnie inna. Kwarantanna. Pokój. Klatka z 3 oknami, 10 metrów nad ziemią. Widok z okna zastygł. Ruchomy obraz zamienił się w pustą fotografię. Bez ludzi, samochodów, bez życia. Czekamy. Nie wiemy jak długo. Trzeba się przyzwyczaić, dostosować do nowej rzeczywistości. Przeszłość i przyszłość przestały istnieć. Została tylko teraźniejszość. Świat skurczył się do rozmiarów pokoju. Cały sens został wessany do środka. Wszystko za oknem wydaje się być nieprawdziwe, podejrzane. To jakaś symulacja, sztuczna wizualizacja, nierealny, mglisty obraz. Coś, co już dawno przestało istnieć i nie ma znaczenia. Pamiętam te uczucia. Wszystko powoli traciło swój urok i sens. Zaczynało się wydawać abstrakcyjne, niemożliwe, nielogiczne. Chęć do robienia czegokolwiek malała, aż zupełnie zniknęła. Nawet rzeczy, które się kocha, straciły swoje barwy. Nic, tylko czekać. Całymi dniami czekałem na coś. Wszystko odkładałem na później, bo czekałem. Żyłem na autopilocie, ciągle zmęczony, poza światem, poza czasem. Łatwo zagubić się w rozkładzie dnia, w zadaniach, w godzinach, dniach, tygodniach. Ale można też z tego skorzystać, zatrzymać się i spojrzeć. Na to nigdy wcześniej nie było czasu, a teraz jest go w nieokreślonym nadmiarze. Możesz spojrzeć na to, gdzie jesteś, kim jesteś, co i kto cię otacza, jak się czujesz z tym, co masz, z tym, kim jesteś, dokąd zmierzasz. Choć na tle całego wszechświata jesteśmy przecież nikim, nieistotną częścią, która nie ma znaczenia, niewidocznym punktem, niewyrażalnie małym ułamkiem. Pojawiamy się i znikamy. Uczymy się, żeby rozumieć. Popełniamy błędy, żeby się na nich uczyć. Cierpimy, aby kochać. Płaczemy, aby się potem śmiać. Jesteśmy zbiorem uczuć istniejących w nicości. Ale w tej nicości jest coś. Coś, co ma swoje znaczenie i jakiś sens. My, którzy dla samych siebie jesteśmy całym światem. No i znowu się zamyśliłem, ale już wracam do mojej codzienności, do wypracowanego schematu dnia świstaka. Wstaję, ćwiczę, jem śniadanie, włączam komputer i idę na lekcję. Patrzę na zmieniający kolory 25-calowy panel szkła. Słucham fal dźwiękowych formujących się w znany mi język. Czasem pomacham do czarnego szkiełka, powiem coś. Ale po co mi to wszystko? Jak i tak to zapomnę, jak i tak nie zdążę, jak i tak następnego dnia będę musiał to wszystko powtarzać od nowa. Dni płyną, mrugają. Wtorek, czwartek, poniedziałek, marzec, maj. Izolacja, cisza i pustka. Nie do uwierzenia w dzisiejszym szybkim, głośnym, dynamicznym, przepełnionym informacjami świecie. Apatycznym wzrokiem wpatruję się w okno, które wyświetla mi surrealistyczny, jak po drugiej stronie lustra, świat. Widzę nierzeczywisty, nieruchomy obraz. Jakbym był ostatnim żyjącym człowiekiem na ziemi. Gdyby nie chmury przesuwające się po niebie, myślałbym, że czas dobiegł już końca. Wpatruję się w tafle szkła prawdziwego świata, w ekrany komputera, telefonu, w których mieści się całe życie. Świat stał się inny, odwrócony, zupełnie nieprzewidywalny. Musimy w nim żyć, póki dla nas trwa. Z tymi, którzy są dla nas ważni. z tym, co jest dla nas ważne. Umiejętnie żyć w teraźniejszości, tym wszystkim, co wydarzyło się tak nagle, bez ostrzeżenia, bez poradników, jak w tym przetrwać i kiedy to się skończy. Miałem kiedyś sen. Był bardzo żywy, prawie jakbym śnił na jawie. Śniło mi się, że byłem ostatnim człowiekiem na ziemi. Nikogo nie widziałem. Ciągle zagubiony w swoich myślach, chodziłem, szukając czegoś. Rozglądałem się, szukałem, aż w końcu się zatrzymałem i czekałem, aż to znajdę. Tak, usiadłem i czekałem, bo szczerze mówiąc, to właśnie czas wszystko poukłada. Ta cecha naszego wszechświata znajdzie na wszystko sposób, więc czekałem i czekałem, aż w końcu znalazłem.
There she goes, bang on cue. Hair up, made up at 2:30. She's stepping over litter like a heron in heels to steal some feels with that fella from the baker's with the really nice wheels. She'll be back. Before hubby's home, that's for certain. Freshly baked bread for her beast of burden. Lockdown Nora, we call her. In our smaller, just the four of us group. We left our lives on the big screen. Stepped out of our films to sit in rows in this panelled scene. Here we are, nattering boxes of the boozed and the Botoxed. 3 silver foxes and me. My neck looked old, but I noticed my hair's growing back. Am I paroled? He texts me now. He's only in there, still in gym jams at this time, watching the world from 2 meters, chewing on chips with sips of wife beater. He calls it. I'm sheltered, but he's on his helter-skelter of pill popping and non-stop channel hopping. I won't go shopping. He asked me to go. Jaw-dropping, I know. I said so. Look at the sky, though. Isn't it blue? Young, true, smooth air. Not run through like an old teddy bear with white slices through stitches into its belly. No plane slicing lines 1,000 times from here to New Delhi. From Berlin to Boston, from Stansted to Sitges. Oh, the beaches there. I walked streets in bare feet there, pulled peaches off trees there. It's bluer than blue, deeper than sky blue, like water, like sea blue. I remember his eyes drew me in. What was his name? Joaquin. Waltzing me, guiding me, tracing my salty lines all the way. Holding me, hiding me, riding me into the sand. Oh, hello, it's the slumbering grouch. What now for the king of the couch, the loafer on the sofa, the yeti on the settee? What next for Mr. Text, the man of my dreams? Another beer for my dear who's bursting his seams. What next can I do for you? Sex, if you want me to. How would you like it? Once more on the carpet with yesterday's food, by that bowl of old beans under last week's jeans, the crushed down cans and chop suey greens pushing me down onto shag pile brown. Oh, go on then, make me a queen. I'm a princess in this tower, a royal with no power to leave. I need to weave my hair plait into rope to fling into the path of a passing night. No hope of eloping for me this night. I did have dreams before he kissed me. So well. And well, that's history written for that smitten fool. This all I am? Her sad mother's daughter, a pauper that ought to just sort her sad life out before I reach for the rope. Perhaps I need to find water to hose down this slaughter of hope. He gave me a slap for moping about. He said I'd cope, that he'd blacken my eye if I cried. Yet, somewhere, the planet breathed in. Planes fell out of the sky. The streets became ancient tracks again, silent and sunlit, cutting into unlit towns with no one around to see it. I need to leave. But as what? Into what new dawn? Everyone out there is armed, but most don't know they're killers, milling about, just chilling out, killing time or making a shilling, but packing some ammo for me. I'm going out tomorrow. For Mister's essentials. Gin and pot noodles. Tobacco and beer. But I tell you, I have layer upon layer of fear. I went out, a breeze. I had forgotten how air moves when freed. Out there it invaded me, a silky assault. I turned and walked to the trees. My roots were exposed like stocking tops, and I was a scandal of grey, like I'm out in my slippers or wearing no knickers right in the heat of the day. I cried when people tried to avoid me, keeping their distance in single file, throwing a smile and once in a while saying hi. Some frowned at the ground before stepping around me, the distance between us, the width of a car, the length of a laid-out man. I watched a woman under a tree, with skin as white as icing, lying on scented sheets, blinking through petals as her kids high up were shaking down pink blossom bedding for her. A wedding for one. She saw me and threw me a shawl of laughter, daring me to wear it. I did, and fires blazed in me. I could barely stand, dazed by it. In an instant, I was 4, on the back of my father's bike, tucked into a bucket thing, his sea blue jacket billowing. I traced its smooth curve with my finger, pressed my nose to it, lingered there. He smelled of gingerbread from the picnic. Oh, I let the wind own me. I had cold knees, and it pleased me that I suffered in silence, all grown up. This sky and this wheezing earth, he said, had once known love. Love locked, he said, and called me his fabulous Phoebe. Earlier, I had hidden in wildflowers and cowered down wearing a crown of buttercups, supping up summer. He was coughing even then. Is it just me that wants to stay longer? Shall we entwine the earth for a second time, like a twice-pulled vine relaying its tracks? I came back through town. No one's around. The dealer, the dancer, the healer, the chancer, the singer and actor, the building contractor, no longer selling or buying, performing, supplying. We're home alone with our small private banks. When the money stopped moving, it sank. But I'm thinking of another trade, another give-and-take exchange, not one weighed down by obligation, but a homemade liberation of something we all possess that spreads a splendid infection. Yes, like a virus in a whispered chorus of tiny kindnesses that pass through porous masks, glide through gloves, to settle like petals on the wholly loved, or loved enough. We don't need more money. We don't need more love. We just need to pour out what's there, to let it flow where it will, carefree downhill. I do have fear. Out there, in here, but I'm clear that I need to steer away from him. I'll grieve my lost life. But I need to swim in that flow again, to retrieve my soul, to glow again. I am the silent insurgent with mischief in mind. In each hand, I hold little kindness dockets, a gift to slip into 2 pockets, one for you and one for me. I will leave this place. I don't need hope. I need a hand. I need to flee, be free. That's the decision by this detainee. That is what I will do for me. And what of you? What can I do for you? I have no special powers, no vocation, no rare qualification, but if you get my situation, if my scene is known to you, if your liberty is due, I'll find friends to help you too. That is what I will do for you. That is all most of us can do. Do two things. How about you?
Let me tell you one thing about the entertainment industry. It's a sick business, full of perverts, liars, and sharks. I've been trying to break into it for decades, but the greasy bastards wouldn't have me, so I've decided to take matters into my own hands. And with the help of my manager here...
The manager? I'm your wife, Pat.
Oh, yeah. Well, under the look, we'll talk about that later, Lizzie. So, well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Pat and Lizzie Lockdown Show. And remember to tune in tomorrow for the Good Friday special.
And remember, stay safe, socially isolate.
Flatten your curves.
And stop touching yourselves.
Peace out. Fuck's sake, Lizzie. Fucking 11 poxy viewers. Bollocks. Why are more people watching?
Well, because the general public are a bunch of idiots, love. Nah, fucking half-wits. A lot of them.
What do you have to do to catch the virus?
It's viral, love. You go viral.
Yeah, well, viral. Look, I need a drink, Lizzie.
I'll get you Paul McGrath, love.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. You should not be meeting friends. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. You should not be meeting family members who do not live in your home. You should not be going shopping except for essentials like food and medicine. Without a huge national effort to halt the growth of this virus, there will come a moment when no health service in the world could possibly cope.
"30 years of being ignored, Lizzie. I don't think I can take much more of it. I just want people to listen to me.
I listen to you, love.
You, Lizzie, real people. People on the internet.
Come up, rising and breathing in. Come down with your elbows bent and exhale. Once more, breathing in, lifting your heart, lifting your chin, with shoulders relaxed, bending the elbows, leaning forward and exhale. One last time. Inhale and rise. Exhale, come down. From here, we're going to come up into triangle pose, lifting your hips, taking your toes, with strengthening your core and your thighs, rising into mountain pose.
What's wrong with your face?
Huh?
Your heart towards the earth. Breathing long and deep. Rooting yourself through your hands,
Bollocks!
through your feet.
I thought it was sun cream. It's fucking fake tan.
Why'd you only do one side, love?
Because the sun was only hitting me on one side. For fuck's sake, what am I going to do, Lizzie? I'm going to have to stand at an angle.
Oh, calm down, love, huh? I'll fix
Day
it
by
for
day,
you.
we are strengthening our amazing NHS with 7,500 former clinicians now coming back to the service. With the time you buy, by simply staying at home, we are increasing our stocks of equipment. We are accelerating our search for treatments. We're pioneering work on a vaccine.
It's pointless carrying on, Lizzie.
Frontline workers are doing an amazing job, love.
Yeah, no. I mean, sometimes I think I'd be better off ending it all. At least then I get some attention. To jump off the roof.
That's your cell phone, love. Not high enough, you just end up in a wheelchair.
Like Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins didn't jump off a house, love.
But at present, there are just no easy options. The way ahead is hard, and it is still true that many lives will, sadly, be lost.
I could take a load of tablets.
Paracetamols are best for that type of thing.
Pope Francis. Again.
For fuck's sake, Lizzie. You're not even Catholic.
You don't need to be Catholic to see he's a lovely man. Look at him. And his frock.
How many viewers has he got?
2 million.
What's he got that I haven't got?
He's got a load of flags.
Good Friday, me hole. Nothing good about it. Mediocre at best.
Is that not an ISIS flag, love?
Yeah. Those lads get serious views on their videos, Lizzie. They're influencers.
Influencers.
Like Brooklyn Beckham or the Kardashians.
I don't know, love. They're very easily offended. We don't need that lot coming round to our door begging for blood.
Who? The Kardashians?
No, love. ISIS.
Like, well, who does he think he is? You know, you can't just be going around interfering with innocent Africans.
Word. Pat Bob Geldof has an awful lot to answer for.
No, Bill Gates.
I'm sure Bob Geldof had a hand in that.
If you've just joined us, we're talking about vaccines. Oh, the comments are coming in thick and fast. Some people are asking me what I'm drinking. This here is a Paul McGrath. Equal parts blackcurrant and lime cordial. And a little bit of fizzy water.
Why is it called a Paul McGrath?
Because it's black and green. Like, Paul McGrath.
Oh, careful now, love, huh? We don't want to get deplatformed, all things considered.
Well, sometimes good call, good call. Sometimes I'm partial to a black and orange.
Call that one an Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
For any Protestants watching.
Who's Paul McGrath?
Only Ireland's greatest ever footballer.
And a lovely man.
Yeah, okay. Stay calm, Lizzie. Will I get your tablets?
He single-handedly beat the Italians in '94.
Also fond of a drink.
He once drank toilet duck. It's in the autobiography.
I always wondered, did he put that in a glass or did he take it straight from the bottle?
Well, the detergents have a very funny neck on them, love. Be hard to get a proper drink out of them.
Well, you know, you're right, love. Look, you'd end up going full Stephen Hawkins on that. I'd say you probably put it in the glass. Oh, no. Oh, some people are commenting on our new flag.
Some people commented on your new face too, love.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, that's all for today's episode. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for Easter Saturday Sunday special.
And remember, stay safe, socially isolate.
Flatten your curve.
And stop touching yourselves.
Peace out. $400 viewers by the end of today's show, Lizzie. Oh, it turns out it was a very good Friday after all.
Nah, you'll never be happy, love, looking the approval of strangers.
That's just something losers say when they don't have any followers.
We must stay alert. We must continue to control the virus and save lives. And yet we must also recognize that this campaign against the virus has come at colossal cost to our way of life.
I'm just saying, love, you need to be careful, huh? That's all. And true happiness, that's an inside job. You'll find that on Facebook. Or that on YouTube.
Sweet swinging Mickeys, Lizzie. We're trending on Twitter. You even have our own hashtag. Yeah.
The Pat and Lizzie Lockdown Show cuts a satirical swathe through the sacred cows of contemporary pop culture.
What the fuck does that mean?
The punk-inspired neo-Dadaist performance artists are the best thing to come out of Northern Ireland on a Good Friday since the Belfast Agreement. There's a request from the art show. Did an interview over Zoom tomorrow with the scarf-wearing Pons fucking bride. There's also a very angry chap in Uri by the name of Mohammed. What's the matter, Pat, love? I thought this is what you always wanted.
I think I need a drink, Lizzie.
Well, I'll get you another Paul McGrath.
No, I need a proper drink.
Right, well, let's call your sponsor.
Oh, fuck the sponsor. Get me the tablets.
The paracetamols.
No, not the paracetamols, the fucking chill pills. Quick, Lizzie, will you? I think I'm having a stroke.
Hello and welcome to our COVID-19 Easter Saturday lockdown special of the Art Show with me, Faulkner Brown. Now, we're very privileged this evening to be joined by Northern Ireland's latest viral sensations, avant-garde performance artist Pat and Lizzie from the Pat and Lizzie Lockdown Show. Welcome. Now, you've been described online as punk-inspired neo-Dadists. Would this be a fair description? Can I ask who your influences are?
I'm reading a book. It's called The Secret. Lizzie likes Pope Francis. She's not even a Catholic.
He's a lovely man.
Brilliant. Pat, I have to ask, is the fake tan a comment on the White House's botched handling of COVID-19?
I thought it was sun cream.
And the tinfoil there, is this a comment on our current age of anti-intellectualism where people refuse to listen to experts but believe absolutely everything they read on the internet?
No, you see, the thing is, Faulkner, anyone can post stuff on the internet, so you get the very best information available.
You can't be too careful with the 5G, Faulkner. Maybe you should consider
Taking precautions yourself.
And of course, the big talking point online at the moment is the ISIS flag. Is this a comment on our current age of infotainment news culture?
We thought it would make us look more professional.
like Pope Francis.
Seminal.
What are you laughing at?
Talk to me about your studio setup. Is this a comment on the different lockdown experience across the socio-economic divide?
Studio setup.
This is our home.
I think I made a terrible mistake. Sorry, Lizzie. I just want the people to love me.
I love you, Pat. I love you just the way you are.
We will come back from this devilish illness. We will come back to health and robust health. But for now, we must stay alert, control the virus, and save lives.
What are we going to do now, Lizzie?
Easter Sunday, love. Francie's doing a show.
Right hand.
Oh, thanks, love.
Do you ever wonder what you'd do if the world ended? I think I'd dance. Yeah, I know. I look ridiculous. But you know that expression, dance like no one's watching? Well, if as far as you know you're the only person alive in a 10-mile radius, then who would be watching? I wouldn't need to worry about what everybody else thinks of me because there would be no everybody else. I suppose it could happen any number of ways. The apocalypse. The dead could stop being dead. Atomic bombs could rain from the sky. A deadly disease could hitch a ride in humanity. Or a supervolcano could get a rude wake-up call. Of course, when all is said and done, everyone you ever knew could be dead. But what the hell, eh? Sure, it'll be the end of life as we know it, but is life as we know it really that great? It'd be the end of responsibility, of debt, of greed, of oppression, of war, of terrorism. No more ISIS and no more PE. No more fossil fuels, corrupt politicians, or maths homework, or detention, or... I think the scariest thing would be the silence. I mean, it'd be peaceful. But it's strange how deafening silence can be. That's why I choose to drown it out. Damn. It's like she knows me. I still have my radio, so I could listen to it as much as I want, as loud as I want, and nobody could stop me from having a good time. Not even old Mrs. Nerg next door. She'd probably be dead too. It's my friend of many voices. Happy voices.
It is far, far away.
Sad voices.
Where nobody goes. It is the
Angry voices. Smooth voices. And the best part? I don't need to speak back. No need to fake a smile, or struggle to find something to talk about, or laugh at a joke you don't get because everyone else is laughing at it, so it must be funny, right? Right? No fear of oversharing, or saying the wrong thing and offending it, or disappointing it, or letting it down, losing its respect. Nope. I can just sit there and listen. I need to have somebody or something to talk to, though. I reckon I'd go insane otherwise. That's why you're here. Drink? I like you. You listen. I feel like you can understand me, and you won't get mad at me like everybody else does. Not that I'd know if you were. Are you mad at me? Why are you looking at me like that?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Who is this?
Who? What? What in the world are you talking about? Look, Freddie, it's getting late and dinner's almost ready, so hurry up home, please.
Oh, but Mom...
No, none of that. No, I expect you at the door in 20 minutes, on the dot. Or I'm going to take away this week's pocket money. Understood? Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did. I'll be there.
We arrive at home. Can you hear me call your name? And with every step that we take, I realize that this is my fate. You take off your clothes. I feel myself real close to you. I'm new to this, but I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I feel things can't stop.
babe, you're back. I was getting worried. What's new with you?
Hey, Stacy. OMG, IKR.
You look so pretty in your new profile picture. You changed your hair color.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you were right. Blondes do have more fun. You look really cute in yours too.
Oh yeah? What fun have you been having?
Alright! Dinner's ready! You little shit.
Fuck off, Mum! I'm busy.
Well, just teasing the boys, like usual.
OMG, I bet. So pretty. All the boys must be after you.
Boys are so immature though. I wish they acted like real men, but they're all such kids.
Yeah, totally. Do you like older men then?
Hey, room for one more?
Unicorn, babe.
No, go away. We're trying to have a private conversation here.
Alright, I just wanted to chat. Fine, I'll go then.
It's just you and me again. And that pic of you on holiday is so hot.
Thanks. I like the one of you in your school uniform. It's really cute.
Aw, thanks, babe. So, do you have any more pics of you on holiday?
You want to see me in my bikini, huh?
Hey there, girls. Want to get filthy with mommy? I want you to let mommy spank you. You're naughty, dirty girls.
Spunk them, mommy. What's mommy gonna do to me?
Fuck off.
No, go away.
Wanna see my cock?
Look, fuck off.
Hey, you still there, babe?
Yes, I think the others have gone. So, have you got any more for me? Pictures, that is.
I don't know if I should show you.
Naughty girlies.
Show us your tits.
Fuck off! Shit.
Let me see those pretty faces.
Stacy, are you there?
Tits.
Oh my god, you fucking pervs!
Kevin, what are you doing?
You ready?
Bye! The fucking dinner is ready!
Well, welcome back, everyone. That's quite a diverse block right there. I forgot how crazy that one goes. Steph, do you want to, I see you're in the middle of my screen, do you want to go round and...
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching at home, obviously joining in on our last block of the online festival. And thank you all, the filmmakers, for coming to join us for the Q&A. So I wanted to kind of start with a question for all of you that actually filmed during the pandemic. And how was that process for you guys? If maybe we start with Nikki and kind of move around. How was the process of actually filming during a pandemic?
Yeah, it was really, really stressful. We had the location was the biggest issue because in the script I wanted Pat and Lizzie to be living in a really tiny, pokey sort of house, but we had like a COVID compliance officer and they kept coming around looking at all our proposed locations, and they didn't allow for enough air in and enough space. And so in the end, the only place we could shoot was this really big, spacious sort of middle-class house, which really didn't suit the two characters, I felt, but it was the only place that we were allowed into. And then just the sheer amount of restrictions and one-way systems and, you know, the whole thing, it was really, really weird and stressful experience. But, you know, we got there in the end.
Yeah, I can imagine that. There you go, Andy.
I was going to say, I was just going to jump in there, Nikki, because in terms of all the lockdown requirements and things like that when you were doing it, and, you know, still regulations in place. So were the actors in the film actually a couple? Did you have to find a couple in order to, or
no,
how did you get around this?
No, we were lucky enough to shoot in, there was like a 2-week lift or 2 or 3 week window of in early September, almost this time last year. And the two actors, they had to do like testing and all this sort of business before they arrived, and they stayed, you know, everyone was in the kind of bubbles, and it was all, yeah, it was all a bit weird, but luckily they had worked together a lot before, so they had that mad chemistry that you'd almost think they were a couple, because they were, you know, they were really familiar, and they'd done a lot of stuff before, and it really came across in the film.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, they had such a wonderful chemistry together. I thought they were actually a couple.
And then we had to do all of the rehearsals over Zoom, which was a really, really weird experience as well. And so we never actually got in a room together until the first day of shooting, but it worked out okay, I think, in the end.
That's I mean, yeah. I mean, actually, I mean, it's even permeated the festival here, because Steph's in the middle there. I've never actually met Steph in person. It's going to be quite a profound moment next week, I think, when we actually get to meet, probably for the first time.
And so many people working on projects that have never been in the same room, I think. I mean, and it's a great thing in a way, because it does kind of open you up to more possibilities. You know, you have more opportunities to work with people that are maybe further away. But yeah, it is definitely, and I was going to say that the casting was incredible, and kind of finding those people that have such great chemistry must have been quite difficult considering the circumstances.
Yeah, we just got very lucky, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And does anyone else want to jump in about their experiences, obviously filming over the pandemic? Because Marek, yours was actually all done by yourself, wasn't it, during the pandemic?
Yeah, mine was done all by myself, because well, I also didn't have the opportunity to work with like other people, because it was at that moment, it was the first wave of the pandemic, so everyone was isolating, and I thought I would, you know, make a film about it, and you know, it somehow came all together into this one piece. So I didn't have any of these problems like Nikki had, for example, with the cast, with casting, with the casting.
And how was it? Oh, sorry. How was it when you obviously, so your entire film is about isolation and being alone, and then obviously doing this project all by yourself, did you find that it kind of helped your mindset towards everything, or was, you know, was that also adding on to the isolation feeling?
Well, I think that definitely kind of made me and also other people realize like what was going on. So for me, it was kind of like a moment of relief that everything will be okay at some point.
Yeah.
That we're all in this together, and we just have to, you know, wait it out and work together to isolate and
Yeah, definitely.
And how are things? Because so you're from Poland, right?
Yeah, I'm from Poland.
How are things in Poland? I mean,
well, when it comes to COVID at the moment, at least like the statistics are not that bad, but in autumn it was really terrible. So we will see. Right now, you know, it's summer, so there are not that many infections, fortunately.
And I mean, we will go back to, you know, talking to everyone about their experience filming in a pandemic, but I specifically wanted to ask, like, obviously your entire film is about your experience in the first wave and then that first lockdown. How is it watching your film back, obviously a year and a bit later, and knowing everything that was going to come after that? You know, how does it feel kind of watching that moment back?
Well, yeah, because I haven't seen this movie in a while, actually, and obviously there are a lot of things that I would have done differently now when it comes to especially putting it together. But watching it is definitely weird because at that moment a year ago, like I didn't know how things would be in you know, in the following months. So it's kind of like a time capsule, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for a lot of films. Yeah. A lot of films in this block.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfectly captured, I think, what many of us were feeling at the time, and it's quite surreal going back, revisiting some of this stuff. And we found this in the previous block, which was Love in the Time of COVID, and it was like, you were just watching and you've like forgotten about the fact we didn't all wear trousers and stuff like that, you know. It's, you know, it's bonkers. It's almost like I've blocked it out of my memory, some of this stuff, and coming back and revisiting it with you guys now is the strangest experience. It really is.
Yeah, definitely, like the clapping in Gone Viral, things like that, where I was like, oh yeah, we did clap at 8 every day. I remember that. And so Danny, obviously you were working, you know, you were the star of the show and also the leader of it. How was that? And again, like with the pandemic, how did you find that kind of affected your process?
Similarly, I think to what's just been said, like I didn't get to meet anybody until the day of filming. I was asked to read a poem by Robbie Fraser, who just emailed me out of the blue. And obviously I wasn't too busy. So I said yes, which is wonderful. And then between Robbie and I, we figured out how to do it. And he sort of suggested, just get an iPad and film yourself. And I thought, well, I could, but the poem was so deep and amazingly written, and there's so many layers in it, and it talks about the Gaia theory and the strength of the feminine and obviously domestic abuse and going through a cancer scare. So I said I can do that, but I can't, I'm not a professional behind the camera, so I can't light it well, and I think maybe it needs something a little bit extra. And thankfully he agreed, and then we got Cassius Rayner on board, who's an iPhone cinematographer. So we ended up doing it with 4 of us in one room, well, 2 rooms. And I know that some family members of both Cassius and Robbie were quite vulnerable at the time. So we all met on one day in the first lockdown towards the end of it and just kept our distance as much as possible. So it was really interesting, but it was also really quite wonderful to be able to know that you can connect with somebody in that way, because I had a lot of questions for Robbie. I wanted to do his poem justice, and that you could do that without being in the same room. You know, we have the technology now, which is really nice, and also the technology to film with 4 people. So we had myself, the writer, the cinematographer, and a makeup artist, Phoebe Kennard, who was wonderful. So it was so small, and so such a what's the word I'm looking for? Such a collaborative atmosphere on set. So it was actually I really enjoyed the day. We did it in one day. It was a challenge, but it was possible.
Yeah, and that was something I actually wanted to ask you about, because obviously you said that it was all filmed via iPhone or iPad, and which I think is really inspirational, because so many people kind of think that they can't create a film because they don't have the right technology, they don't necessarily have the budget. And I think your film definitely showed that you could create something that's very high quality without having to, you know, spend thousands and thousands on tech. So, you know, what kind of advice would you give people that wanting to create a film but maybe don't have the technology at hand?
That's more of a question for Cassius, who is the iPhone cinematographer, because I know he uses Filmic Pro and he has certain lenses that he uses and certain software, but it is on an iPhone. All I know is that I know what my iPhone can do and what certain products do. And at the moment now, I mean, you know, there's these boxes in front of me. Everyone looks really great, which wasn't possible a few years ago. So I think and also, you know, define high quality, because anyone can pick up an iPhone, press record, and it's already high quality. Even if you spend money on a gimbal and you just, you know, you're panning across, you know, the actor, and you can edit stuff at home. So I think you can create things that are more of a higher quality than people assume they're going to be. So just grab a phone and press record and see what happens.
Definitely.
Whilst we're on the subject of iPhones, actually, so we've got Dia in the background who made Cerasitas, Little Beings. I probably said that badly, but and that was filmed on an iPhone as well. And we've also had some comments in the chats about iPhones, so this might be a good time to sort of pull a few of these strands together. So unfortunately, Dia has been hit by a hurricane. She's from Mexico and is having trouble, but is kind of typing some comments out to us in terms of, you know, trying to sort of get involved and tell us a little bit more about her film. So I will read out some of the things she said, because that was all filmed on an iPhone with, I guess, a macro lens, which you've just put on the front of the iPhone. And I mean, I find it a beautiful meditative piece. It's and this is the only positive I think I can take away from the whole experience, is it made me reconnect with nature again, the whole lockdown period. So I will read out what Dia has written. She says, thanks to the entire festival organisers, audience, cinemas for allowing Cerasitas to be part of this moment. It's based on a belief that if we manage to pay attention to the little things that share the world with us, perhaps we will become more sensitive to everything, to the world, how it works, what it means to be human, how we relate to the environment, and the ways of being everything that is not human, in short. It was filmed in situ without altering the environment. It was filmed during the first few months of the pandemic in Mexico in a bioreserve. And yeah, wow. The idea was to give prominence to these little beings, only accompany them with the smallest of human touches. In this case, the poem would kind of, I mean, the poem is the icing on the cake for me, but I love the fact that this nature just completely transcends language anyway. Anyway, thank you so much, dear. She said that in the process, I discovered fascinating things. I observed how they behave. I was creating techniques to approach me with time they put in front of me. I'm sorry, I've been here way too long. I can't read anymore and I need glasses. Some of them were like posing. Seeing the short film was nice, but signing, it was a gift, basically. And we had a comment as well asking, and this might be something, I don't know if you can answer this, Danny, and unfortunately I don't think Dia can, but from Antonio saying, a question for whom it may concern, being limited to the cellular filmmaking technique, was it a pleasure or an obstacle to obtain the expression you were looking for?
It's a good question, isn't it? For me, because of the poem and the way I, as an actor, wanted to get that across to the audience, it was a positive for me because I didn't have a massive camera in my face. There weren't an awful lot of crew. So it was me, a guy and an iPhone, really, and two other people, you know, at the back of the room keeping their distance and having a chat and going through it section by section. So I found it really interesting to have worked that way. I will do it again. So I think if you want something that's minimal and you don't want a lot of things going on in your space, then an iPhone's really, really good for that.
And everyone has access to it, which I think is, so important. As we said, you know, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, I think sometimes it can feel like there's a certain amount of privilege if you've got the money to do it. But actually, you know, if you have a phone, you know, and obviously that in itself is a privilege, but if you have a phone that you can film with, then you can create a film, which I think is incredibly inspiring. So
Absolutely.
Cherry, you can actually hear us now, is that correct?
I can. I'm back. I'm so sorry.
No problem at all. Again, if anyone's having any technical issues, do just feel free to type in the chat, and then we can answer through there. So not a problem at all. So do you want to answer a little bit as well? Because obviously your film was filmed during the pandemic and is about, you know, the pandemic. So how was that experience filming during that time?
I think it was a really cool experience. I enjoy challenges in that way. Where suddenly, you know, you didn't have all the people at your disposal, right? You don't have all the tools and all the, you know, the fluff or the fat, as I sometimes will call it, right? You really have to think about what is essential into telling the story. And so I was very privileged in the way where I was able to work with someone who owned their equipment, which I will say DPs and folks who own their equipment really were the MVPs of this pandemic because you had access in a very different way. And a lot of folks that I know who own their own equipment were able to, through iPhones, through sound gear, through any sort of like editing software, were able to really play in ways that potentially you weren't playing before, or were challenged to play after. And so my brilliant DP, Cataline Celion, was able to kind of step in, and we really shot it with two folks. It was really him and I, kind of in an apartment for a full day of shooting. And then another day outside, and he you know, he really stepped up to the challenge, and it couldn't. I mean, truly, when you made something, you say this film couldn't be made without, you know, fill in the blank. No, truly, this film wouldn't be made without my DP. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, I think, you know, talking about casting and crew, having a small amount of cast and crew to kind of make it easier during the pandemic. I think definitely having less location as well and less setting, because, you know, you don't really have the privilege necessarily to go to lots of different places. But having said that, Sam, for Friends Online, you seem to have quite a lot of different settings in your film. And I noticed as well that the different settings kind of had color schemes and seemed quite well designed. I just wanted to know a little bit more about that. That's the kind of thing that my brain goes to straight away.
Yeah, no, it was sort of designed to sort of, I mean, the whole thing when sort of describing it before it was made was like, all right, it's like a real life cartoon and everyone's got one color. Simple.
Yes, I got
you
that.
can keep, just you can keep track. I mean, it's a short film. There are quite a few characters. How do we visually get you to? I mean, despite all the, you know, gorgeous phrases and lovely actions that they do, it's something to make them memorable. Though I should say that was filmed before the pandemic, so
a lot easier.
Yeah, I was lucky. I got in there. I got just in there. but it's all filmed in one room, and we just redecorated the same set. We built it up, tore it down, built it back up again, and it was great because obviously the actors can't interact with each other, so they all got to watch each other, you know, be gross and disgusting and stuff. And we had some rehearsals and whatnot, but yeah, I think, I mean, even that, it's a bit out of the box. It was a bit isolation-y pre the world becoming isolation-y. So yeah, it kind of took a different turn of its life once the pandemic hit. But maybe it just shows what a depressing bastards I was pre-pandemic.
Already had the isolation feel to it.
So,
one of the things I love about it is the fact that you kind of voice the characters as they're hearing things in their head. Do you want to talk a bit about that? I love that.
And though I do speak French, I'm not fluent, and I would think it would be a sin to you know direct in a second language that you're not like 110% sure of. And so, I mean, it was also kind of written for the budget, you know, written for one room. It was written for, I mean, essentially it's a bit of a silent film, to be honest. And it's just that, you know, I knew it was going to be in France. I knew that we had like, you know, about £2.50 to spend on it. I knew that I wanted it to be like, you know, cheeky but disgusting. And so, yeah, it was very much, we would read, me or someone else would, you know, would read the lines and they just sort of reenact it in there. Might be gross, be so just make everyone go as we're filming, and I know we're on the right step. So yeah, it was a bunch of fun, to be honest.
Yeah, and I definitely came across, I mean, watching it obviously being very uncomfortable, and I think that that's kind of part of the beauty of it. And what was it like? So you said that you obviously took down all of the sets and rebuilt them.
I'm sorry,
everything
just crashed for a moment and you all disappeared. And just
no problem. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you fine now. Yes, hi.
So I was just asking, so obviously you said that you took down the sets and then rebuilt them each time. What was it like creating what I've put down as predator dens? What was it like creating those spaces, and what were your ideas behind them?
Well, again, we knew that the budget wasn't going to be crazy, and I wanted it to be cartoon, like a cartoon. I didn't want it to be like a genuine guy's room. I don't know. I'm not like these characters. Well, as much as I can get away with it, I don't think I'm like these characters. So it was like, okay, there's the sort of stereotype I got. Let's go crazy. And so I was living in Paris, not far from sort of like, you know, the sex district. And so we just went into all the shops saying, like, we want your filthiest magazines. We want the magazines that no one else will get, but just tits and faces, preferably, because we don't want anything too, you know, much and stuff. And for people looking at me going, have you heard of the internet? You can get the images you need. I'm like, no, it's for a purpose, I promise you. And then, and then just for the other one, so like, you know, it's red and blue, and then the other guy, it's monitors. His thing is that he's like literally being sucked into the world of online. So we just went to Skips around Paris and just like hoarding the car with all these like, you know, very broken, very, you know, hanging off the side of the car and whatnot. And I kept it all in my teeny tiny apartment, and I looked like some sort of very tragic hoarder. And then we just threw it together in kind of like once we know we're going, we know again we're on the right track. And so you know, with some very helpful friends and fellow students and stuff, we just built these fun worlds. It was good. It was good fun.
Can I ask a question here? And this is Nikki and you, Sam, because comedy, both of yours are comedy pieces, right? And your characters are not always very likable. And did you ever have any problems just getting the tone right of how likable? You've got to leave a little bit of a seed of them being, you know, something identifiable about them to make them just so the audience invests in the characters. I wonder if you ever thought, well, I've taken this too far. Maybe just to pushed it a little bit too much out there.
For me, I don't know for Nikki, but for me, like a lot of the main character is kind of built slightly around me, in as much as just like wanting to be understood, but also not really wanting to kind of like commit to anything. But also he's shit at it. He's a shit predator. And there's kind of a beauty in that. No, it's like I just try to think, like, what if you like really wanted to be good? He's just not very good at it, you know. So it's that it's almost this. We've all been in a situation where we sort of feel like we're just hopeless at either communicating, or even once we think we've got what we want. But you know, the whole idea that he's also, you know, gross and inappropriate, when he fails, it's not the end of the world. We're not, you know, it's kind of like, I relate to you, but I don't like that I relate to you. Ooh, that's kind of
understanding the feelings while not actually rooting for him, I think, is definitely.
I think the idea is that by the end you're a bit sad and you're like, no, I'm so much better, and then, you know, you realize that, you know, maybe you're not. Ooh.
Yeah, I think like what Sam said, there's an awful lot of me in Pat and Lizzie as well, and I think there's a lot of us all in it, and I think it's just the fact that Pat is a little bit too old to be carrying on like that, you know. But for me, that was kind of the interesting thing as well, was to, you know, I think we've all gone a bit mad, particularly in the middle of the pandemic. I noticed that friends of mine who were particularly extrovert, they were getting it the worst because they needed that connection. Whereas I'm very introvert. I have no problem spending long times on my own, but I really noticed that on social media. And then I just thought, what would it be like to create a character who was too old to be carrying on like that? You know what I mean? Because you know the way sometimes when your parents or your aunts or your uncles join Facebook and they don't really know the rules and they don't know the etiquette, and it all gets a bit weird, and then just add in that sort of desperate need for attention. And so I think he's very relatable, even though he's kind of an Egypt, but like I'm also kind of an Egypt, so I just kind of I relate a lot to him.
I think
He's
I definitely I found myself feeling so sad for them, and the fact that, you know, when the artsy snob really kind of pokes fun at them, I think I like found myself being really weirdly protective over them. Like, no, they're freaks, but they're my freaks, and you don't say that about them.
And also the artsy snob thing. Like, I come from a fine art background. That was my whole thing. I studied fine art all the way along, and for me, that's really interesting. That some of it is so vacuous and wrapped in such layers of bullshit that you can actually mistake people like Pat for genius, you know.
Yes,
exactly. And for me, when I'm watching that interaction, I'm completely on the side of Pat. He's not the wanker. The other guy is the wanker, you know.
Definitely. And I think, I mean, because I come from performance arts degree background, so exactly the same. Like, when I was first watching, before I took a really long time to kind of catch on that the snob was being a snob at them. So I for a long time was like, oh, like, yeah, they're just going to get away with this being genius because so many people would watch this from, you know, my degree background and think it was performance art, which I think was really funny and powerful.
I love some of the details in it, actually. Sorry, no, please carry on, Steph.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I just love some of the details that I noticed in the background, because you remember the toilet roll thing. You got the toilet roll thing.
The one thing that nobody seems to notice is because I just had to have a little joke just for me. And so there's a picture of Nicolae Ceausescu, the former Romanian dictator, sitting on beside the television, and he just looks like a nice cuddly granddad, and nobody seems to top that. But for me, that's the best thing about the whole thing. For me, that's the only reason I made the film, is to get that.
I noticed you too.
I saw Bono.
And I wanted to ask a little bit as well about like changing attitudes, and this kind of can be open up to everyone. We'll start with Nikki and then open up to everyone, but like the changing attitudes towards the online world since the pandemic. and kind of how we use that to connect with people. So obviously, Nikki, like the one question I was going to ask you is about seeking approval online. Obviously, that's a massive part of yours, and how you think that the pandemic's kind of played into that as well.
I think it has certainly changed our brains, social media and online. I mean, it's completely engineered to do that. If you've seen any of those terrifying Netflix documentaries like The Social Dilemma and The Great Hack and all that, and I mean, this is not an accident that it has completely rewired our brains. And I think it went to a whole new level during the pandemic. And I don't know if we're going to ever come back from that, you know. It certainly kept a lot of people sane, but it drove people mad as well. Just to have, it's a really fine line between having that connection to the world and then just it can become a bit of an addiction as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really delicate balance. But ultimately, I think I would agree with the sort of conclusion from those type of documentaries that like, it will have to be made illegal sooner or later, social media, because it's completely fucking us up. Like it's, you know, we can't have even elections anymore because evolution ended when we got the internet, and we've all dropped about 10 IQ points since social media. Yeah, I'm not optimistic about it.
Yeah, which I think comes across in the film as well.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, it's not just the influencing side and things like that. It's also the misinformation as well. I think that's probably even greater, is more worrying. I like the way you use Boris Johnson quotes in there, for instance.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about how you picked them and how you feel watching it back now that we're kind of through the other side a little bit more? And
I get a really sort of visceral physical reaction when I hear that particular speech, because I remember it so clearly. I realize what a massive moment this is, you know, that first lockdown speech when he's telling us this is it, you know, we're going into lockdown. And it's really weird watching it now. And it's really weird that even though it's only a year since we shot this film, when I see it now, it's like a period drama, you know, it's like a year later. And I like not that I like, but I find it very interesting how attitudes have changed so drastically in 18 months since that first speech. There was this people going on about the spirit of the Blitz, you know, and the clapping out the door for the NHS instead of just actually paying them properly. And then that whole sort of we're all in this together spirit is gone now, you know, it's completely evaporated, and we're at the end.
Shot that
not ago. And the Christmas fiasco, and there's a lot of things I think, like you say, and this is kind of what Marek was saying as well about this kind of being a bit of a time capsule. All of these films kind of act as that, and Cherry, obviously yours as well kind of links in as well to the Black Lives Matter movement and everything there as well. So I just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about as the obviously topic of pandemic was there, but you picked a very specific topic to tackle, and what kind of made you decide that was the angle that you wanted to take?
I'm absolutely just vibrating off of the idea of this film. Feels like a lot of the films that come out of the pandemic, even though it wasn't that long ago, it does feel like a time capsule because of where, you know, in a collective sort of memory sense, right? We're remembering where we were and what we didn't know at the time, and, you know, making the film, I can't, you know, or looking back at the film and watching it, I can't help but think about us not knowing where the end of this was at all, right? Or thinking that the end was closer than it actually was, definitely. You know? And
I'm so glad we didn't know, though, a little bit. Just like, oh God, she would have had a full meltdown. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? We wouldn't know where to be. Like, what do you mean, you know, we're still gonna be wearing masks for, you know, here on out. But I mean, I guess in terms of the layers, and interesting intersectionality of the pandemic. I think that was the piece that really was interesting to me. A group of friends of mine, the film originally came out of a project, sort of an idea with a group of friends of mine who we create a lot of content, and specifically a short film work together. And we were dreaming of films that we wanted to challenge ourselves to make during the pandemic. And then then the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery happened, who my film is dedicated to. And just in case anybody isn't clear or has never heard of Ahmaud Arbery, he was shot in February of 2020 by two white men who wrongfully accused him or suspected him of being a burglar while he was very commonly jogging in his own neighborhood. This happened right at the beginning of, right before we went into lockdown. However, the details of that shooting and the footage of that shooting emerged during the lockdown. So to your point, I think there's a really interesting thing that started to happen in the lockdown that made it really intersectional for me, was that we were not just encountering what it was to live in a pandemic and to see where our bodies were safe and like how to keep our bodies safe in a pandemic. The conversation then in terms of Blackness around the world was even, well, what is it to be safe in a Black body around the world? Like, period. And now we're layering those things together. And even for this young man to be jogging in his own neighborhood and to be suspected of being, of being someone who's breaking the law, and therefore thought to be justifiably killed over that. All of those things sort of smashed together for me, and the history of being masked or being covered in Blackness is really, it's a really complex, really like layered thing. However, the idea of hiding your face, hiding your body, not being transparent, being thought to be something else, is such a specific story when it comes to Blackness around the world. And so the masks make it more complicated. And so I really kind of wanted to explore that as I was facing my own personal anxiety about, do I go outside and when am I masked? And if I'm masked after dark, will someone misinterpret me? So I think all of those things kind of came together. And the last thing I'll say is that seeing injustice and seeing sort of all of these shootings and things happen in the States, seeing them on your Facebooks, seeing them on your Twitters, seeing them constantly all the time very much has this sort of psychic effect on you where it's almost like it's almost like happening every day. So it of course created a sense of, or helped to perpetuate a sense of anxiety that definitely led towards making the film.
Yeah, definitely. And something that I thought was incredible about the film is that either you're going to be an audience member that has had the privilege to never think about that, to not think about the layer of going outside with a mask jogging, or they're going to be an audience member who has experienced that anxiety. And I think that's incredible, because that way the film is both, kind of relating to people and kind of showing people like, look, I feel that too, or it's educating people in, this is something that you've probably not thought about. And I thought that was really incredible. And just to talk a little bit about some of the feedback and reception that you had from the film with that.
Yeah, I think you hit that right on the head. That has been two of the strongest streams of feedback that I've gotten, have been either folks who were saying, oh my God, you spoke to a feeling of being observed that I have a hard time explaining to people, right? Or folks going, oh my God, I never thought about that. One of the producers' mother, and a very quick story, one of the producers' mother, who is a white woman living in the American South. And I know this woman, I love this woman, she's like a second mom to me. And she saw the film for the first time, and she said to the producer, her son, she said, oh, I love the film, I thought it was lovely. Thing is, I just didn't understand, why did she think she needed to, why was she afraid to wear a mask? I mean, would she even wear a mask outside? Oh. And literally watching her have that experience in like real time it told me that something was happening with this film that was doing some work. It was doing work and speaking for experiences and educating on experiences that sometimes it's easier to see and observe and experience through a film than explain.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, obviously the aim for these films is to open up a dialogue. And I think definitely Covered did that really well, and opened up a dialogue about race and the pandemic, which I think is incredibly important. And kind of moving on, open this up to other people as well. Danny, obviously yours kind of looks into domestic violence, but also looking into people at risk during the pandemic. And obviously, you know, as the pandemic's moved on and things are opening up, I think that can kind of be forgotten, again, like a time capsule, that, you know, there was this real state of time where people that were at risk were not allowed to go out, were not allowed to do anything. And if you want to talk a little bit about, you know, your decision to look at that, and how you found that process.
Yeah, I think it's one thing if you're trapped and having issues in your own environment, but you're able to escape from that from time to time. But when lockdown occurs and you no longer have any way to leave a situation, with Fabulous Phoebe, there's sort of many layers to it, but the two biggest ones were domestic abuse and having to shelter, health for, you know, physical health reasons. So it's, I mean, I didn't write it. So again, if Robbie was here, he'd be able to give you sort of some more understanding of where that came from. I know he did a lot of, there's a lot of Greek mythology sprinkled around there, and the Gaia theory, and the abuse of the feminine, and how we really need Fabulous Phoebe to survive, because if the feminine doesn't survive, then all these other things don't survive or don't happen. So what I loved about the poem was that sort of reading between the lines and really asking him about what every line meant and where it stemmed from just really opened up, you know, this whole story, which was wonderful. But, you know, I think his main point was the domestic abuse issue, that obviously I don't have the statistics, but just spiraled out of control during the lockdown. And for me as an actor, I wanted to, as I said before, do his words justice, but also come across and kind of try and portray that emotionally. And I remember Cassius, the cinematographer, sort of had an idea of how he visualized it, obviously. And I was like, I kind of thought I wanted to talk to people watching, and I wanted to break the fourth wall. And what was lovely was that it was such a collaboration that he was like, oh, because I thought this. And I was like, well, what about this? And then Robbie, the writer, was like, oh, I didn't think of that. And they let me give it a go. And then throughout it, you know, it was the decision of, when do I flash the camera with my eyes? What looks do I do when am I looking down? And then as it progressed throughout the 11-minute monologue, I looked towards the camera more, and I was directly kind of talking or pleading, or can you understand? And then sort of right at the end of, I think I figured it out, and I found people who can help me, being the charities that help women in need in that situation. You know, I'll find friends to help you too. What I receive in a positive way, I can then give back in a positive way. A lot of the poetry was also about, if things don't move, they're not worth anything, be that money sinking or be that love. So let's just keep it moving. And if you get something kind or someone to help you get out of a situation that you sorely need to get out of, there is a window somewhere, there is a crack that you can find with help, and then just to pass that on. So I think that was the main message that we tried to kind of get through.
Yeah, and I think that definitely came across. And like you said, I personally loved the fact that you were looking at us, you were, you know, breaking that fourth wall. There was something quite like, yeah, I personally, I love that. And I think there was something, especially with such poetic words, there was something quite Shakespearean about it, I found, you know, something about that talking to the audience and explaining what's happening, and what's going to happen and how your character's feeling, and kind of being quite straightforward with it, in this kind of poetic language, I think I really, really enjoyed. And I think, like you say, definitely at the end, having that directed to the people that might also be going through similar things to Phoebe, and kind of pleading for them to not only find help but give help if possible. You know, I think as much as it's such a sad and difficult topic, there was definitely a feeling of hope, which I think actually opens up to most of the films, maybe not Friends Online, but which, you know, again, I think we kind of don't want necessarily hope for them, but definitely, you know, there's this feeling, and I think that kind of probably links into to the pandemic and the isolation, is just having to keep that hope, which I think, you know, opening up to you lot about, did you want people to kind of come away with that takeaway?
That's very interesting, just as that you say, in as much as all of them are quite hopeful, made during the pandemic, but mine before the pandemic is dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, you know,
we
definitely
figured it out. If anything, it's a world of good. No.
And you know, there was something, I think that is quite a common thing with writers, that they say that you know, sometimes when the world is too dark, you kind of don't want to create hopeless content. You don't want to create content that has no message of hope in it, because, you know, if the world is already kind of spiraling, you kind of don't want to spiral with it. Whereas I guess before the pandemic, there was maybe a little bit more room to just leave something in the pits a little bit, which I think is really, really interesting. And I just wanted to actually ask, this is kind of coming off topic a little bit, but with Friends Online, obviously the online element of it, and it being quite dangerous and quite shady, how did you create, so there was, I take it those were fake sites that you were using. I have not seen those sites before. How did you kind of go about creating that, and that kind of shady feel?
So so basically my editor and I, we built in post this forum, but the whole thing was also like, I mean, back, you know, when I was at school, it was like the online was this dangerous place and these men were going to come and get you. Now it's like, you know, you got 6-year-olds with Instagrams. It's just, you know, it's weird. But it was, and the whole sort of thing was harking back to that, you know, dirtier, more dangerous, gross online thing, you know, before MySpace and Bebo made it all, you know, cute and available and stuff. And it's weird. The other day, someone said to me, like, would you ever get rid of your Instagram? And I was like, well, like, you know, maybe if I didn't have like the film. And then I just sort of harked back to, well, hang on, the whole film is a piss take of social media, and now that's social media, and now I'm just a product of the whole, you know, bollocks of it. But yeah, we really wanted to create this very sort of like chat room aesthetic that sort of harked back to that, you know, because essentially it was, I mean, I'm not quite on Nikki's page of like, oh, we're all doomed, but like getting to that in as much as it was slightly the beginning of the end, and this idea that any of these social media platforms, and we're still talking to the same people.
Yeah,
people haven't got like better, they've just got like shinier profiles. It's just making it more, you know, now instead of just like, you know, dirty old Terry online, it's like, you know, John Lewis got their whole social media campaign going. So it's kind of this, it's a bit of a piss take of the whole thing, to be honest, and the whole, you know, movement of it. And I mean, it's the way we're going. And I think with the pandemic, you know, to say that we're not going to be more online, you know, we're going to, maybe things will change. But I mean, you know, here we are now. Hello, my little boxes.
Yes.
So, you know, we can only sort of hate it to a certain degree. It does have its benefit. It does allow this, that, and the other. But I mean, even doing all these like sort of Zoomy things, I mean, Friends Online is literally this. It's, you know, except that I can see you all and I've seen your films, and, you know, you all seem lovely and you don't want of me. I hope.
Yeah, we're all safe.
But, yeah, so it's just it's a bit of a piss take of a situation that we can neither control, but we sort of can't help but contribute to. Because humanity is, again, thank you everyone else for being so hopeful. I'm clearly not, but just that it's a product of humanity, and humanity is essentially flawed. And so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that kind of keep being gross.
Yeah,
That's it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I do think that, we've kind of spoken a lot about technology and the benefits and drawbacks. I mean, obviously the benefit is, at the moment we are all in different places, some of us in different countries, and we can still connect. We can still be a part of this project, of other projects, casting online and things like that. I think there's a lot of benefits, but like you say, it's just it's having to maybe take some of it with a bit of a pinch of salt, and being safe, which I think it definitely did remind me a lot of the videos we watched at school, which again, is a bit of a generation thing.
I just remember friends go like, I've got a boyfriend I met on Bebo, and suddenly you're like,
yeah,
what
and everyone's instantly like, it's definitely going to be.
It's going to get murdered. Like, it's that very kind
Yeah.
of, there was no, everything had its own, it was through the lens of very much, your early, like, preteens, and just that, like, everyone says it's dangerous, so I'm going to do it. Like, it's just that.
Everyone you meet online is evil. And I think,
I think my best friend, we spoke for hours about Twilight, suddenly there was just this, like, I can't talk to anyone about Twilight.
Only this person.
So definitely, like, authentically be yourself behind the safety of the screen. Obviously that has very, dark edges too, but this film was kind of marrying the ridiculous of them and just as you will.
Definitely. And I think no, but I think definitely, and like you say, whether we fight it or not, the world is moving more and more online. And I think, this is something that even in Merrick's, that I think you touch on the fact that education moving online and people kind of joining classes, and at first that maybe being quite exciting to kind of join your class online and being able to do it in the safety of your own home, and then how that's kind of moved on since then. And there's talks of lots of, schools actually staying online, universities staying online rather than doing it in person. And kind of, so was that actually your own experience, Marek, in yours, or was that just something that you were drawing from?
I was a part of the online classes experience, let's say, and it was definitely weird because there was no contact with friends, with the teachers, and especially that it was like my last year in high school and it was all online, and at first it seemed as if it would be okay to sit in front of the computer and take part in online classes, but obviously it didn't work out as we thought, as me and some of my friends, and obviously everyone who had online classes, it was hard to focus, sitting in front of the computer for so many hours. It was just tiring, and like you're saying, there are some benefits to it, right? But I don't think that it can replace like real classes at school.
Yeah, definitely. And I think again, we keep saying about this times capsule element of it. And I think definitely, obviously schools, a lot of universities are still closed, but definitely that initial excitement that everything was going to be different, kind of changing into the same with working from home. A lot of people working from home. And there's kind of, that element and gone viral as well. This kind of like at home with your partner, spending lots of time together, and that maybe feeling exciting at the beginning. And then once you kind of stuck in a rhythm, unable to go outside, unable to connect with people, finding your life going more and more online, that definitely changes your opinion of things.
Yeah, I think if a relationship survived lockdown, it's pretty solid, It's pretty best.
Definitely. Everyone's either engaged or broken up, I think.
Yeah.
Since lockdown.
Should be, commit, one way or the other.
So my final kind of question, will kind of go around the room for this one, is what's next? So starting with Nikki, you know, what's your next project, and where else as well are you taking these films?
In terms of gone viral, we got development funding from Northern Ireland Screen to start turning it into something bigger. So I've been writing some episodes to turn it into like a series, but set obviously just taking the two characters and you know, obviously post-COVID kind of thing. And then I have a couple of different documentary projects on the go as well. I found that the 2020, while everything slowed down, it was good for sort of like getting your ducks in a row to start coming out all guns blazing in 2021. You know, there's plenty of time to be writing scripts and treatments and trying to raise money to get stuff done. So yeah, a few different things on the go, and I'm just glad to be seeing some kind of light at the end of the COVID tunnel, hopefully.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, definitely. And congratulations on getting gone viral to go forward. I think that's amazing. And Danny, do you want to go next? You know, have you got any projects coming up? Are you doing anything later?
Auditioning. You know how it is. Self-tape. I know that Robbie is working on a few things, and he has a company called Poetry Films, and he wanted to do a similar thing that he did with Fabulous Phoebe with other poems. And hopefully I'll be working with him in the future on that, which is really lovely. We managed to connect Fabulous Phoebe with Tender, the charity that gives money back to promoting safe communication within relationships at schools by doing theatre, which is really nice. So that's been a really nice connection to have. And we shall see. But yeah, hopefully Robbie and I will be able to do something together in the future. That'd be a good thing.
Definitely, and let us know when there's a new project in the horizon.
Thank you, will do.
Sam,
And thanks for having us a part of this. It's been
no
great.
problem. And Sam, about you as well, with the Friends Online and other projects coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Friends Online is still ongoing. Again, I think not planning the pandemic. It wasn't me, I promise, but it kind of, you know, had this little, you know, life of like, oh, we all feel like that. Like, oh, so it's not just me. Oh, not weird anymore. Yeah, and then obviously with the break of COVID, but going into sort of from development to pre-production on the next short, which is a lot happier, I promise. A lot more hopeful, a lot more. It's fun, and we get to use some very cool music from a favorite old film of mine, and so that's going to be very good. And then other talks about the series, but that's still a bit away. That's no, but it's exciting. Like, oh my god, that could actually, you know. But keep going at it. You know, waiting for the sun to shine. Just enjoying it. Yeah.
Fantastic, really, really well done. And Marek, are you taking the film elsewhere? You've got any other projects coming up?
Well, I think that this film is living its own life on YouTube right now, and I'm not planning on doing anything with it right now. I don't have any projects coming up, but I'm definitely looking forward to making some films, meeting people who make films, and working in a team and not alone. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, and studying filmmaking either as cinematography or directing. So yeah, I'm just excited for that.
Amazing. And last but not least, Cherry, any other projects coming up, and are you taking COVID elsewhere?
Well, yeah, kind of. Covered's gonna be probably we're in talks right now with a few schools. Actually, I mean, as you can imagine, you know, even as you mentioned, there were lots of people saying, "Oh, this could be an educational tool." So we're in talks to potentially get this part of the curriculum.
Incredible.
Throughout the states. And in terms of new films, I am in post for a short that I wrote and I'm actually speaking in, called 27, which should be released this fall as well. And I'm in pre-production for a filmed, I guess, choreo poem, I guess I would call it, called How to Mourn an American, based on a play that I wrote. I'm fascinated with the Statue of Liberty, and it takes a look at a world where Lady Liberty has had it with us, and she decides to step off her post. So that's
amazing.
What's coming next.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for letting us know. And obviously, make sure to keep us in contact with all of your future projects. So that is it for the Q&A. Filmmakers, if you stay with us for a second while we come offline. And thank you so much for everyone who's joined us online, who's watching at home, who's entered in their questions. And we will be definitely updating people in our live screening, but also other projects coming up in future. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. And we hope that you have a lovely evening.
And before you go, there's one gotcha. Sorry, you're almost free, filmmakers. This is the last block. However, we do have a free online masterclass on Wednesday. And this is aimed at people on the film festival scene at the moment. So it's with the fantastic Rebecca from the Film Festival Doctor. It's the secrets behind creating a successful film festival strategy. Doesn't cost anything. If you're having trouble with your film getting it into festivals, or you're just about to hit the scene, or you just want a refresher, come on in at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And with that, I think, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.